I watched a movie today. It was on Hulu and it had me at Sebastian Stan. If you'd like to know the one situation, the one scenario in the world that I would not want to be alone with Sebastian Stan, let's go. Okay, so I started with the good part. Sebastian Stan. Oh Lord. But it's also starring Daisy Edgar-Jones, Jojo Gibbs, Andrea Bang, uh, Dio Okaniyi. I know I'm not saying his name right, but yeah, him too. The director was Mimi Cave, and it was written by Lauren Kahn. This one was executive produced by a team, including Adam McKay. So that is a well-renowned director that many of us have heard of. So what is this movie even supposed to be about? Hulu's Fresh is a comedy horror thriller starring Sebastian Stan that shows us the horrors of modern dating, seen through one young woman's defiant battle to survive her new boyfriend's unusual appetites. Okay, if you guys didn't remember, I just recently reviewed The Tinder Swindler, the one about Simon Leviath and how he swindled all those women by using the dating app Tinder. Well, we are using dating apps again. Yes, we are. We enter this movie meeting Noah, and Noah is a young woman navigating singlehood, trying to find the perfect match, right? So we meet her going on a date with a guy named Chad, and Chad was the epitome of terrible dates. Like he had literally no freaking etiquette about himself at all. At all. He did everything wrong. It really makes me have zero hope for dating to see even a fictional depiction of something like this because that means it's happened to somebody. And it just it's so disheartening. So when I did the Tinder Swindler, I told the audience that you know what? A guy would have to meet me at the grocery store or the gas station. He would not be able to find me on one of these dating sites because I'm afraid of what you're going to run into, right? I said all of that just to watch this movie days later and to see Noah, this character, meet. She she hit the freaking jackpot in the fresh meat aisle. So she runs into Sebastian Stan at the grocery store. And let me tell you, that would have been my dream. Like, oh my God. And he's hitting on her. So it's like, okay, she meets this really handsome dude. His name is Steve, by the way, in the movie. So she meets Steve, and he immediately just does all the right things. He cracks awkward jokes. He stops and holds the conversation. He asks for her number. He tells her, I'm not going to text you, but I am going to text you. And then he texts her. I mean, he did everything right. He did everything right. So, okay, now she tells her best friend Mollie. Noah does. She tells her best friend Mollie, I got a date with this guy and he is all that in a bag of chips. And Molly is like, Molly is kind of like a bisexual kind of, but not. She's a tough chick. Molly is a tough chick. Molly is also very street smart. So the first thing she asks, oh, Steve, let me what's his Instagram? Oh, he doesn't have Instagram. Molly saw that as a red flag instantly. So, of course, Molly is side eyeing this whole situation. However, she is giving her friend the benefit of the doubt as somebody who would be able to see red flags if somebody just started waving them all up in your face with the red flags. When I first started watching this movie, I wasn't aware that it was billed as a comedy, but I was aware as I was watching it. I'm like, this shit is funny. I really hope this is not a movie that is taking itself seriously and it is a big fat joke. But it is a comedy, and there are some extremely funny parts. It is a horror, and there are some pretty horrific scenarios presented. It is a thriller, and there are some very thrilling situations. And then we come back to this comedy. I really enjoyed this movie. I probably enjoyed it more than I had any business enjoying it. It was a breath of fresh air. Even though, again, it has solidified my stance against me getting out in the dating world. But let me tell you, it did it in a hilarious fashion. It took things way too far, but at the same time, it was still grounded enough for you to think this could be something that could really happen. Sebastian Stan played in this movie, Sebastian Stan played an asshole. Sebastian Stan is like the perfect, perfect date until he wasn't. And that is really at the crux of this movie. While the movie, again, while it had its horrific parts, it had thriller elements, the comedy in it shines through and through. Ladies and gentlemen, I gave you guys some very, very good advice, especially moving from the Tinder swindler into this. I gave y'all some very good advice when I said do not smash on the first date. Don't do it. Just say no. If the man asks you too quickly to go out of town or this grand gesture within the first week of you knowing him, you probably should say no to that too. Yeah, you probably should say no. Just be like, no, nope. Mm-mm. Because can't nothing good come out of this. Nothing good ever comes out of going out of town immediately. And even if it does, I wouldn't even want to take the chance. I mean, the extremes of what could happen. You could get Simon Leviev, or you could get Steve, as played by Sebastian Stan. Now, both of them, nice looking dudes. It would be great to get attention from either one of them. But what they turn out to be is freaking just terrifying. So another piece of advice that I'm gonna give you: get yourself a friend like Mollie. All of us need a friend like Mollie, and all of us need to be that friend. Mollie kicked ass in this movie. There would be a lot of dead bitches if it wasn't for Mollie. It would be just a lot of dead women. There was already a lot of dead women. There would have been quite a few more if it wasn't for Mollie. Get yourself a Mollie in your life. There's a character played by that Dio Adabenyi. I think I'm saying that wrong still. But there's a guy named Paul, and he's played by Dio, that last name that I can't say, but I'll put it on the screen here. He was everything that I wanted in a brother until he wasn't. And the thing is, I can't even be mad at him for not being like for at the end of it all, not being what I expected in this brother. But again, it was funny. He was hilarious to me. The Molly character, hilarious to me. There was a lot of joking, even though the situations were not funny. But again, this is a comedy. It's a dark comedy, and I think it worked. I think it worked. Now I'm going to find out right now what other people thought of this movie. I liked it. Doesn't mean everybody else did. I'm gonna check Rotten Tomatoes and see what the consensus was. Oh my gosh, you guys see this? I'm feeling a bit vindicated. Not that I am gonna change my thoughts based on what the critics or the audience said on Rotten Tomatoes, but it is kind of a guide. And guess what? The critics thought it was good to 80%, so 80% of it thought it was fresh. It is certified fresh, I believe. Yes, it is certified fresh. And the audience, 81% of them, and with the audience, 81% of them thought this was a fresh movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I am highly recommending that you watch Fresh. But yeah, this movie did not do anything to help my anxiety levels about the dating world. Even though it doesn't have to be that scary, we can be smart about the choices that we're making. But also recognizing that if something seems to be too good to be true, it probably is. And that was Sebastian Stan in this movie. He was too good to be true. Gosh, I was hoping for you, girl. Noah, I was hoping for you. So, if you're out there and you are booed up, you got your significant other, you found somebody who fills in your gaps, When I tell you to hold the F on with both hands, hold on, girl. Hold on, brother. Because let me tell you, there is nothing out here but trouble. It is so freaking scary. This is like living in a horror movie every single day. It's like, how can you make sleeping with, having a quickie one night stand with Sebastian Stan, how can you make that into something horrific? And this movie successfully did that. There's a lot of dancing in this movie. Sebastian Stan did a lot of dancing. He did a lot of boogie woogie. And I'm like, all of these things that you're seeing him do, he can cook, girl. He can cook. He looks good. He can dress. He knows how to dress a woman. He knows how to dress a woman. Doesn't eat animal meat. Doesn't eat animal meat at all. So I'm like, these are all like really good qualities, and you guys made this really terrible for me. And I mean, not the movie, just the thought. I used to routinely daydream about Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. There's a list. There's a list that I will have my little daydreams about. I can't unsee this. Sebastian Stan actually, at this point now, makes me think of Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy. Yeah, it was that terrible. It was scary. I can't really find anything to complain about this movie except for how stupid our freaking main character was. But she got a few people hurt, but she also helped some people, so I'm not gonna be too mad at her. She was only doing what many people are doing, and that's looking for love. So I can't really be mad at her about that, right? Um, but yeah, the movie knew exactly what it was doing. It knew what it was. This movie was well shot, or these sets were immaculate. The actors and actresses sold me on who and what they were for this movie. There was a little teensy weensy, itsy bitsy tiny twist where something that I thought was going to go one way went someplace entirely different, and I like that. I like the fact that I thought I had this thing figured out and then something else happened. I'm really glad it didn't go down the way I thought it would, simply because I would like to be surprised sometimes, and this time I was. But yeah, this movie knew exactly what it was. It stayed in its lane. It did the things that it set out to do with intention. And the fact that, okay, I didn't read anything about the movie. I just push play when I saw Sebastian Stan. The fact that it hit the notes that I caught in the movie, it didn't take itself too seriously. And I like that. Okay, so I guess you guys probably need a rating at this point. On my regular 1 to 5 scale, I would give Fresh a 4.5. That's just how good this movie was for what it is. This is something, again, I might not have been too upset if I went to the theater to see it, but as a streaming movie, it's perfect. It's an hour and 54 minutes, so it's a little long for a streaming movie. We usually look for those to fall in around the 90-minute mark. This one is going more into the 120, real close to 120 minutes. But again, it felt good. It's a streaming movie. This is one of your sit back and just chill. This is a movie that, a date night movie. You can make sure that pay attention to your date now. Look them in the face. Be like, hey, you see, this is what we don't want, right? We don't want any of the shenanigans. None of them. But if you already have got that special someone, I'm gonna need you to hold on. Because now we got Sebastian Stan, we got Simon Levayev. I'm afraid of what we're going to find next. And there will be a next, right? There will be a next. So, if you have watched the movie Fresh on Hulu, please let me know what you thought. Do that in the comments below. While you're there, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, turn your notifications on so that you'll know when I'm posting another review for a movie or a series or one of the other many things that I do in the internet world here, in the YouTube world here. I like to say once again, one time for my patrons, we got to hand it to them. Thank you very much, guys. You guys are the reason that I'm doing these things. And yeah, I don't have much else. I like the movie and I hope you like it too. I don't have anything else for you today. So I thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Now, if y'all remember, I just recently reviewed the Swindler Tindler, to Twindler,